Okay.
I posted a little technical glitch, and we're trying to come back.
We're live in a Pits of Metal Motorcast with the one and only, and with Rick. So Rick, tell me about your past. Start off all over again. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, it was me and my brother, two kids from Southern California, that had a dream. The dream was to become involved in motorsports, which was the going thing at that time. Southern California drag racing, in street cruising, hopped up cars. It was the thing to do. Just like in the movie American Graffiti and all that. Well, the way we became involved was including ourselves in the other side of the fence, we call it, selling programs, but whatever we could do to not have to pay to go see a race. Well, that involved meeting a lot of the competitors on a one-to-one basis, and before you know it, we were doing our own drag races. Wednesday night fox hunts where women got in for free on a Wednesday night when there was really nothing else to do in town, and we laid them away. We met ground floor a long time ago, people like John Force. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of John Force. He's just the most famous drag racer in the world. And at the time, he was nobody, just trying to make a living like everybody else. And also exploding on the scene at that time was new wave music. It was generating a lot of interest, coming away from rock and roll and all that. And we found ourselves doing things with that genre. We were actually promoting rock and roll shows down around the Hollywood scene. When it's funny because we became involved with a group who was unknown at the time, and we put them together with a drag racer who was unknown at the time, and we put them together and we produced a show. I believe it was in 1982, and the drag racer was John Force. We took two of his funny cars and we put them on stage at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, and the unknown group was a group called Motley Crue, and that night they just rocked like craziness. A week later, Motley Crue got signed by Elektra Records, and for the next 15 years, whether you liked Motley Crue or not, they were the heavy metal gods of rock and roll. And John Force, he went on to win 16 or 17 world championship drag racing titles. So that's one thing that I'm very proud of, that we had something to do with two record-setting situations that the world has heard of. So although we're still doing what we do, we were real glad to be a part of that deal.
Oh yeah, that must have been fun. So let me ask you, were you ever in any Hollywood movies, stuntman?
I was on a TV show at one point, and we were lucky enough to meet the stunt coordinator for a show called Nash Bridges, which was a show that Don Johnson and Cheech from Cheech and Chong were starring in, a couple of detectives and their exploits. And the episode we did involved a monster truck that was trying to kill the main star, Don Johnson, and I was brought up to Treasure Island where the scene was filmed. It took 3 days to film it, and we brought two monster trucks with us. We actually had to use them both because one broke and we had to fill in with the other. But I come jumping through a giant door that they were parked on the other side of and fly over there with the car he was driving was a Barracuda, which he was known for, in every episode. And I end up chasing them around this parking lot that was strewn with old Mercedes-Benzes and Cadillacs and crushing them while I was trying to catch them to run them over and kill them. And, well, that was the beginning of where kids were to learn about all about things with big tires, and we've done promos for other sports events, and I can't tell you how many TV ads we've done for a show we were doing where we do an exhibition car crush or something of that nature. But, I mean, with monster trucks exploding like they did, it's probably one of the three most popular sporting events people go to, especially because it's still one of the only family-friendly events you can find. Where the kids are the prevalent spectators and the parents go along, they enjoy it too, but it's all about the kids. And that's the part I liked, was being able to, make them smile, give them hope for their future, and kids stay out of trouble, stay in school, and you too can do this. And, the reactions we get are just phenomenal. I just, as with the representative last weekend, the largest sporting event for monster trucks, World Finals, was just held out there in Las Vegas, and all you had to do was just look at the crowd, and there's no doubt it's a popular sport.
That's
and
awesome.
we were real happy to be involved in it, in so much as it gave us an avenue for something we love to do. At times we actually made money doing it. And then to think about all the vehicles we've had, it's pretty incredible for two kids from Southern California that just wanted to get in for free, so to speak.
So now was your monster truck like a big name like Bigfoot and Gravedigger?
Well, it's funny because they still do what we do at the same places. Being that we're still real big on putting on a show, exhibition for enjoyment. Their deal is, they do their freestyle, which isn't competition, but yet they score them. We run into them, week in, week out. We do our deals at the same place they're at. I've become good friends with all of them. I've known them for 30 years. First time I ever did drive a monster truck, they pitted me against Bigfoot. The driver at the time, his name was Jim Kramer, who's gone on to actually be part of management at Bigfoot Enterprises now. And, he beat the pants off of me, being that his truck was a little bit quicker than mine. I'm trailing behind him, and I'm doing fire and smoke, and the crowd, I've never gotten a standing ovation for losing, as I did that one day. And it just showed us that the motorsport fans, they enjoy both aspects, the competition, but they also want to be entertained. So we capitalized on that aspect, and it worked us to the bone, making sure our vehicles were ready every week, week in, week out. But I guess the final payoff for anybody that's involved in any kind of sporting events is the fan reaction and the accolades that go along with putting on a 3-hour show that people pay to come see and walk out going, that was fantastic. They want to talk to you, they want to take pictures with you and autographs, and I never thought I would be doing autographs, but it's been just wonderful. I can't think of anything I would have rather have done for the last 30 years. And hopefully there'll be plenty more. Even in my aging situation, even the old guys, and if anything else, I've sure got a lot of stories to tell.
Now, after 30 plus years, you've decided to retire, correct?
Well, nobody ever really decides to retire. There comes a point when you just really have to admit it's time to step back and take a look at things. It's a waste when you consider the wealth of knowledge somebody at that point in their life has. So I'm still involved. I'm just not actively busting my rear end with the grind of doing what I used to do. We're bringing in the youngsters Truck Hall of Fame out there in Indiana. And it's funny because everybody that I came up with, well, they're getting inducted, and it's like the grandfathers of the sport. And then watching all the youngsters come in behind us, it's pretty gratifying to know that we started a sport that will continue on for years to come.
That's pretty cool. So tell me, how many trucks did you own?
Over the years, I believe the tally was, we probably had 19 or 20 monster trucks that would adopt different identities. We did a lot of monster truck conversions that we would put seats in the back, turn them into ride trucks. With the name out there that people were familiar with, that they could actually come down and go for a ride, before a show, before a monster truck show, out there on the track and experience somewhat what the drivers are experiencing when they're performing in front of the crowd. So that's been a big part of our shows. And more recently, with the jet trucks, we've had probably 10 or 11 that have been from wide-ranging from street legal, meaning we would put a jet engine in a vehicle that was still registered for the street, and we would drive it as a promotional tool around the town we were doing the show in to garner attention for the show. And then we would show up and perform our car burn and be able to drive right off the track and go drive to the motel or fast food. And people just loved seeing me pull next to them at a stoplight, and they'd look over, and in one case it was an 87 Chevy crew cab dually with a jet engine hanging out the tailgate to a 57 Chevy pickup, and then more recently fire trucks. We've built 3 fire trucks to date that we left the stock motor and stock transmission in that enabled us to drive it down the street by putting the jet engine in the middle of the truck and then seats above it where we would give 15, 20, 25 people rides. We couldn't sneak in anywhere. With the bright-colored paint jobs to a giant J34 tailpipe hanging out the back of the truck, it was an attention getter wherever we went. So, that's one thing that I really enjoyed was making sure my hair was always combed and knowing that the next place I showed up to would create a crowd. And it did. It usually does, and it still will. The fire truck was called Raging Inferno. So that gave me the nickname Raging Rick. And it's been something I've tried to live up to.
Nice.
Because that's what I've become known as, Raging Rick.
So let me ask you, how many... I love monster trucks. I see them all the time. In the summertime, springtime, all over Wisconsin, Illinois. I love monster trucks. They're pretty cool cars.
That's because of the excitement that a bright paint job, a customized truck, or in some cases a car body with the big tires. It's become a sport that kids of all ages can enjoy.
How big are the tires? Like 6 foot?
We commonly use flotation tires. They're used like in the agricultural aspects. They're 66 high, 43 inches wide, with a 25-inch rim size, and they're just unmistakable. We have to take the tires off when we transport the vehicles. Yeah. That's where the work comes in. The tires have to be removed and put back on every time we move the vehicle. So that so we need a crew. You need a big tractor trailer that has morphed into the giant billboard going down the highway. So and then in between shows we'll caravan. Well, we'll have 5, 6 trucks following each other, and it's just like drag racing or the NASCAR guys. It's an honor to be seen in one of the trucks, to be seen in one of the tractor trailers going down the road. The ego and the just the excitement of being involved with it has attracted attention across the country.
That's crazy,
I
man.
talk to people all the time that ask, how can I get involved and how do I get a job? And I tell them the same thing. Stay in school, learn all you can, and meet people that are involved in the industry.
That's crazy. So, what was it like to get behind the wheel of a monster truck for the first time?
I think it was probably a dream. I never imagined it. It's something that you can only see in the movies. And when I found myself actually doing it, I was blown away that people would actually pay to come see what we were doing. And being able to share it with the fans and the spectators during the show and after the show, that actually was the payoff for me. Is knowing that you did something that people will remember. In some cases, want to follow in your footsteps, and others that just they came out and had a great time, and I'm honored to have been part of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do they run? Diesel?
What do they run on monster trucks? Diesel or what?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
What type of fuel do the monster trucks run on?
They vary. It's grown into a pretty high technical aspect. Most of the racers, almost all the racers, they're running alcohol. In the old days, we used to run avgas, and they would be powered by or supercharged by nitrous oxide, which is an NOS system that gives you a short burst of highly concentrated oxygen that would increase your speed tenfold momentarily, blow up a lot of engines that way, but they're mainly using alcohol now. Drag racers are into nitromethane, and that's rocket fuel.
Yeah. So, okay, let me tell you a quick story. So, a couple years ago, I still have this one friend. This friend of mine has a pickup truck. He turned into a monster truck, like for the road, the ones, the legit types. Anyways,
right.
He asked me if I wanted to go for a cruise in it. I said sure. He came to my house, dude. It took me like 10 minutes to climb into that freaking truck.
That's because they're about 12 feet tall, and that was the selling point, is being the one truck, where, if you kept it street legal, which I believe the law was 48 inches or 52 inches or something like that, whereas you could still drive it on the street, it became a cliche for, the southern boys, or, I guess the term would be rednecks, or hillbillies. But we turned it into a sport that everybody's involved in, all ages, all walks of life. Monster trucks is a sport that can be enjoyed by anybody and everybody.
So
the thrill is being so high off the ground, and then when you see a truck like that running over a car, the first thing everybody says is, "I sure could use that at rush hour," which is funny as can be. And that's where the implementation of using cars on a track to crush. Nowadays, it's a combination of giant dirt mounds and we call them K-rails, the concrete barriers they use, and cars, trucks, buses. We've demonstrated that there isn't much a monster truck can't run over.
So what tracks do you guys use in Cali?
We use independent teams from established names that run Monster Jam, Gravedigger, the Carolina Crusher. I mean, we go back 30 years to Tom Menson and Max D. He runs with us occasionally, and they've all branched off into team trucks, and they'll send trucks to their big races like the stadium shows, and they'll have other trucks that they'll make available for us to run at our race tracks and smaller venues. Sometimes we go indoors. Not quite as many trucks, but it's still an impressive show.
Have you been to Rosemont Horizon in Illinois?
To where? Which one?
Rosemont Horizon.
Well, we have sent trucks there. Being that now, or in the last few years, I've been responsible for running the jet truck, which we basically do outdoor shows where there's plenty of room. A jet is a different kind of animal.
Yeah.
It needs plenty of space for safety reasons. To be able to perform like it does, we need to be at least 300 feet away from a crowd and not contained in a building. And we'll light up the night sky with fire and smoke, and the afterburner burner pops. They'll just resonate through the grandstands, and I like to say it rocks their world. But no, we'll do the smaller venues and bring trucks in and crush cars. It's a little bit louder and sometimes a little bit dustier, but we would still try to bring a good show to the smaller towns and smaller venues that wouldn't normally be able to, make it to the big Monster Jam shows in the big cities. Save them some money and still give them a good, safe show that they can really enjoy.
So what states you guys travel to?
We go all across the country. Hawaii, Canada. They actually have trucks that go over into Europe. They do a European tour every year. There's certain trucks that stay out there on the European tour, England and such, and then they have the teams that stay here, West Coast, East Coast, pretty much all across the country. Whoever wants to see a show, they'll bring them one.
So, have you ever kept track of how many cars that you crushed or burned throughout your career?
Wow, now that would be a hard tally to figure. I would have to guesstimate that it would be in the high thousands. We actually almost have trouble getting cars donated to our shows, as opposed to years ago when there was just an abundance of cars available. Now the cars are smaller. They're predominantly plastic or carbon fiber material. So that's when we went to using the concrete K-rails, dirt mounds, and we'll fill in the blanks with whatever cars that are available. Trucks, buses. We try to decorate the track with as many obstacles as we can to keep it interesting for the folks in the grandstands.
Man, okay, when we were at Great Lakes Dragway in Union Grove, Wisconsin, this was years back, I saw that monster truck crushing the cars. I saw this Pontiac Grand Prix black, two-door Pontiac Grand Prix, like an 80s version of it, the long boat ones. I was gonna have a heart attack on that car because that looked like my '84 Pontiac Grand Prix, but my '84 Pontiac.
A lot of people say that if we were to itemize the collectible cars that have been crushed, it would break your heart. Being that the car restoration is big business, people like to restore some of the older classic vehicles. I remember crushing many Camaros and Impalas and Chevelles and all the cars that people, would give their right arm to be able to get now and rebuild them. it was never really a major thought back then, but if anything, we probably brought the value up on a lot of the collectible cars because we reduced the amount so greatly.
Right now, I still have my 84 Pontiac Grand Prix. It's fully restored. I mean, thing has only 3,000 miles. And same thing with my 68 Chevy Camaro green. It's fully restored, only has 3,000 miles. Both of them.
And the price has probably gone through the roof, and it's hard to imagine all the cars that people, just go out of their way to find and rebuild, ended up at the bottom of a monster truck pile. It really is heartbreaking, but par for the course, I guess.
Those two cars are my bank account right there.
Right. And, it's like us. We try to come up with an idea of a classic vehicle that would look outstanding with big tires on it. In our case, putting big tires on the fire truck, it took quite a bit of fabrication. But the end result, I think, was just phenomenal.
Okay. But what about the old police cars, the old ambulances, the old station wagons? Crush those. Aren't those still good?
It's funny you should say that, because at this point in time right now, we've got an ambulance that we're converting to be a part of the show. We haven't quite decided whether we want to use it for, say, like a food truck, or actually a part of the show itself. That's an idea that's being developed. But if you'll notice with the monster trucks, they come in all shapes, all forms, in all aspects of what has been produced, what can be produced from they call them theme trucks, the Supermans, the dogs, Snoopy, the cartoon characters, to futuristic vehicles that. There's also the Transformers. They built robotic vehicles that will pick up a car, take it up 3 stories high, and rip it apart and blowing fire into it, such as Robosaurus and Megasaurus, and that's a big part of our shows too.
Really? You got the Transformers. You got Bumblebee.
I'm sure a lot of people have to remember Vorian, a transforming jet-powered dragster.
Yeah.
We would do a show that was really kid-friendly, purveying the message of stay in school, do the right thing, don't do drugs, love your neighbor, and, destroy evil. That's just been the underlying message monster trucks in general have tried to convey through the years. Being fan-friendly and family-orientated, it's a big part of what you have to be able to do if you're involved in this sport.
Hold on. I got a question. So you guys got Bumblebee?
We what?
Do you guys have Bumblebee?
I'm sorry, that connection momentarily. Could you repeat that one more time?
Do you have Bumblebee Transformer?
Oh, Bumblebee Transformer. Well, I know that there was a ride truck called Bumblebee. People have come up with all sorts of ideas. I know that out here on the West Coast, the drag racing, rock and roll themes that have been implemented into the monster truck bodies and ideas for designing trucks is just so incredible. Every possible generational thought can be described as wait until the next monster truck hits the track, because who knows what they're going to come up with next.
Wait, you said they have Snoopy, right? So, okay.
Correct. I've seen lots of Snoopy.
So, hold on. McDonald's Happy Meal right now, they have Snoopy toys.
Right.
Yeah.
There have been fast food outlets that have gotten involved with monster trucks. We were sponsored at one point with a chain of hamburger stands out here called Del Taco. And they actually U.S. To help promote a new hot sauce,
Really?
El Quercio.
Oh.
And we literally had the fire truck set up displays and give away samples of their hot sauce. A lot of trucks, that's a staple to their income, is generating attention and
Commercial.
dollars to a new product or a
Commercial.
new line of clothing or
Commercials.
motor oils.
Yeah, like commercials. You like
Exactly.
you like the commercial.
They're using monster trucks in commercials. I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of you have seen extreme monster trucks crushing cars for hamburger sales, and it's unlimited what monster trucks are capable of doing.
I got like 42 miniature monster truck vehicles. You know the little Hot Wheels collector cars, the monster trucks?
Right.
I got 42 of them.
They've been quite a collectible item. The Hot Wheels line of monster trucks, they have a monster truck toy for almost every monster truck out there.
Yeah.
And if you look on the internet, some of them are picking up quite a bit of value as a collectible.
I also got the DC Comics, the Ghostbusters, the Star Wars, the old school Hot Wheels from the 50s. I got Batman cars. I got all types of cars.
Well, all I can tell you is hang on to them because they're gonna do nothing but pick up value.
I know.
It's quite a compliment for a team to have a truck, die-cast truck made of their vehicle. That's when you figure they have made it, so to speak.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking, you know the old Corvettes? You guys can use those too. You guys can use those too.
And they have. There have been several monster trucks with Corvette bodies on them. From the old car crushers to the current. The bodies, they make them out of fiberglass.
How about Tesla?
They'll come up with a concept, have a form made up, and they'll duplicate it, and they can actually put any kind of body at all on a monster truck. Case in point, the futuristic monster trucks. I don't know of any vehicles that are actually like Max D or they've got Megalodian, Megasaurus, whatever it is. It's a giant fish. And then they got a lobster truck.
Really?
Crustacean. Oh, yeah. The monster truck drivers and team owners are probably the most creative minds that you can imagine. If it can be built, they'll build it.
What about a Pokemon truck? Do they got Pokemon?
You know what? I believe that they have adopted that concept, but I believe it's been out there in England and European. They have their own concepts, their own ideas, and although they'll buy a lot of our older monster trucks and re-outfit them for what they like to do, and their ideas are pretty out there too. But I myself, I haven't seen any of the Pokemon trucks being made yet, but don't be surprised. Probably just planted some ideas in whoever might be listening right now.
Okay. Oh, what about a Jester truck? A Jester, like a Jester head on top of a truck? That'd be crazy.
Oh, we've had plenty of those. Terry Woodcock, who goes back in the industry from the very beginning, had Cyclops, where he had a giant eyeball pop out of the hood and actually, spin around and look at people, which is why we came up with our concept, Fire and Smoke. Fire-breathing monster truck crushing cars. It really is a show all into itself.
Okay.
And the fact that it actually does something other than crush a car is what we've always felt was fan appealing. To be able to park a monster truck on a street corner and not just sit there, but perform a function is extremely it attracts a lot of attention. So that's that's the whole idea about the monster truck world, is coming up with new ideas at every turn of the way and coming up with something that somebody hasn't done yet, or like the tricks. 20 years ago, they weren't doing backflips.
Yeah.
They're doing backflips now, and that's unheard of. Although we used to do them, we didn't plan on it. They're actually engineering trucks to stand up on two wheels and stop and balance them, and run them. It's incredible the things that monster trucks are doing nowadays. That I'm proud to have been, in the ground floor of developing those trucks. And filling stadiums is the payoff. Just watching the thousands of people that go see these shows week in and week out. It's incredible.
Let me ask you: do they use Tesla? The Tesla car. Do they use Tesla bodies on monster trucks?
They can. I haven't seen any at this point, but like I said, they can adapt any body style, any idea that they want, then make it out of fiberglass, then go with it. They've got monster trucks that transform, the hoods that come up, and you can see the engine, or there'll be a flip top, which means the body will actually lift up and to allow you can see the entire inside of the truck. They have done almost anything and everything you can imagine through the years. Look at Bigfoot. It started out as just a pickup by a gentleman that had an off-road shop, and he started building on it. And he's got probably 18 to 20 trucks out there right now. Bigfoot is probably one of the most popular trucks out there. And it's just exploded. In the last 20 years, if you don't know what a monster truck is, you must live under a rock.
Okay, let me ask you, do you believe in a Sasquatch?
Oh, but you mean like a Bigfoot?
The actual Bigfoot.
I don't know the actual truth to the matter. I'm sure that a lot of people believe Sasquatch is alive and well.
I seen him.
Trying to duplicate his idea.
I seen him.
And you've seen him, and there you go.
In Southern Illinois, I seen that motherfucker while me and Dave were stuck on the side road because of construction off the highway. In Southern Illinois, is like 7 hours away from where we live. I seen that motherfucker walking through the grass on the side of the road. I rolled down my window. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He waved hi to me, and then he ran off.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we'd have seen him, we would have made him a crew chief.
Yeah.
He fits all the prerequisites for becoming a crew chief. He's got size, strength, limited mentality. It's just perfect. So a uniform on him, and he'd fit just right in any monster truck team.
Okay, what kind of jet engine did you have in the jet fire truck?
We use a Westinghouse J34 34. It was commonly used in the Korean War era. It was mainly known for its durability. We like to joke and say it was able to consume large birds and small children and keep on running, although it's just a joke. They're mainly surplus. And that's what we use for a car burn or exhibition. There's jet drag racers out there that use the newer J60s and J84s, and they're a little bit more refined and higher RPM, but that's because they're going fast. They just have one goal, and that's to go fast. Our show is to produce fire and heat and thrust to actually melt a car, which is why we melt a car, because if you think about it, there's really no place to go fast at a monster truck show. They're usually inside stadiums, arenas, or circle tracks of that nature. So that's how car burns came into play. We wanted to be able to give a demonstration of what a jet engine is capable of doing without having to move. So we'll put cars behind it, get the cars red hot, and then hit the afterburner, which is equivalent to a cutting torch, where you would hit the oxygen, and it creates a extreme blast, shooting sparks 200-300 feet in the air, essentially cutting a car in half.
So let me ask you, do you have any trophies, awards, or anything like that?
Only in my mind. The trophies we get for exhibition is the payoff at every event. When the kids come up and they want your autograph and they want to look at the vehicle, that's always been my trophy. There's been events where they'll give out a trophy, but like with the kids in school, it's pretty much a participation placard or trophy. Now, we'll give trophies when we're doing a competition. First place, second place, third place, et cetera, et cetera. And there's teams out there that have a room completely devoted to their trophies and placards. But for the most part, doing exhibition, it's just a tip of the hat, nod of the head from the crowd as they're leaving. That's always been our trophies.
So let me ask you, with all the drag racing you watched as a kid, why didn't you ever become a drag racer?
Drag racing is a competition, and we didn't feel like we were in the position to be able to afford what it costs to compete. And that means keeping top-notch racing equipment week in, week out, and without a sponsorship or big money, it would be really hard for the average kid on the street to be competitive. We found our niche in being able to produce a vehicle that was easy to maintain, easy to transport, sort of, and able to run week in and week out, performing a function that was easily maintained. And that's where doing exhibition came into play. We could ease off on the structure of how we're going to run it that weekend, according to how far we had to go or what spare parts we had. Anytime you deal with nuts and bolts or a skirt, the old saying goes, there's always going to be a problem. Nuts and bolts means that you have to fix it. If you break it, you fix it. Running competition and that grueling schedule of being faster than the next guy, that's a hard pill to swallow. And being that we were in most cases producing the show also, which meant I was responsible for building the track, coordinating food and beverage, and everything from parking to advertisement. It doesn't leave a whole lot of time for anything else. Competition in the dirt, it's not so much the importance as making sure the crowd enjoys it.
Okay, what websites can people find you at?
I've got an overabundance of videos that people will shoot from the grandstands, the average spectator, and they'll post them on YouTube. For my vehicle in particular, Raging Inferno Jet Fire Truck, put in the search section, will pull up any number of videos from the shows I've done throughout the years. My last count was, I think I've got like 12 to 1,500 videos from 10, 15 years ago when YouTube actually became pretty popular. And they're unedited, they're unscripted, they're actually what transpired that particular night with no editing or any say-so in the production of said video. So it's raw footage of what happened that particular night across the country throughout the years.
Well,
Raging Rick or Raging Inferno will pull up such a collection of videos and wide-ranging types of shows. It's pretty...
Wait, Rick, where can people find your monster truck schedule at?
If they'll go to Monster Truck Spectacular, it's pretty easy to find the schedule that way. Monster Truck Spectacular, and if you just type in Monster Truck shows, it can pull up schedules from